Hello fellow hunters of the blue and welcome to another installment of the Royal Retinue review. What is this? You may be asking if you haven't seen any previous episode. Well, this is the time that I take to review my Patreons and channel members minis as a way to give them something back for all the amazing support that they give me. Do you want to take part? Well, what you have to do is just join my Patreon or become a channel member on the level Miniatures or above, and you can submit one picture a month for review. And if you don't want to give me any dough, well, there is no issues. You can join the PMP because the PMP review is back. Good news. Just join the PMP, and once a month you will be able to submit a mini, and you will be judged and reviewed by a panel of experts. Apparently, Vince Venturella stepped off, and new people have taken his place. So that's awesome news. But this is not about those people. This is about my lovely patrons and channel members. And as always, just know that I won't be able to see your comments or your or the chat while I do this. So if I don't answer any of your questions, well, that's because I don't have two monitors. I'm poor. But while I save some money to get a second monitor, just know that I won't be able to read your messages. So I think we should jump onto the review, and we're starting with an amazing paint job by Olivier on a Crimson Fist. And he has done a lot of lovely things here. He has attempted some NMM, which I will go through and analyze a bit, because there's a couple of tips I want to give. Lovely OSL here. I don't know if you can see my cursor. Yes, you can see my cursor. Yeah, I have to be sure because I sometimes miss that. A lovely OSL and some very lovely blends. So this is a beautiful mini. The picture is a bit blurry, but we can work with that, so don't worry too much about that. And I'm going to start with the OSL, and there is just one tip I want to give on the OSL, and it's that the OSL looks brighter if it's a slight line between the what's glowing and the glow itself. So let me explain. Here we have the white, and it just blends with the border here. There is no division there. So if we, what is my, this is too big, make it very small, make it much smaller. Yeah, that should be okay. I'm going to grab a dark green, something like this, and if you draw a line of this black green in between the what's glowing and the glow, then you can pick up this lime green here. There you go, this one here, and just add this as an edge highlight around here. The OSL looks brighter. So from here to this, kind of stands out more. This is my personal opinion, of course, but I think it looks brighter. It's all about readability on the Mini, really. But yeah, apart from that small detail, which is not easy to do, by the way, this looks pretty nice. The major improvement I want to talk about is on the NMM itself. For example, we have this bullet here, and it's more or less okay, but it's just missing one thing, and that thing is the secondary reflection. So what we are going to do is pick up this ochre here, and what I would do is just add this here, like that, and like that, just like that, and you can see immediately changes from not looking like metal to a more metallic look. It's a very simple thing, but you can't forget the secondary reflections when you're painting non-metallic metal, otherwise it won't look like non-metallic metal. Let me turn down the opacity, and you can work in this as much as you want, but yeah, something like this. Yeah, there you go. There you go. That now looks much more metallic. Same goes for everything, really. We can have this white here and add it here, just on the bottom edge, like there, 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 etc., etc., like this. And same goes for here. What this is like super unfair because this is very, very difficult to do, but you can actually shade the underside there. We can take this, and I can't see it, but if you have like the edge of that plate, you can just pick it up like this. Those kinds of details is what makes NMM really sell. This is another very good example. We're going to take this brightest color here, and we are going to add it here on the darker parts. There you go, there you go. And the improvement is quite visible. The issue is if you don't add this, it doesn't look like metal because it's not reflecting anything, basically. On these top parts, I'm going to shade this a little bit more, and then add that highlight that I added just on this edge, just like this, something like that. So yeah, that's basically the idea. You need to add these highlights onto everything. And here with the steel, you can even go one step further, take this red and tint these highlights, for example, these secondary reflections with red. There you go. So it looks even more metallic. So like here, 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 and here, just like that. You see? That environmental red reflection does sell a lot the look of metal, like this. From this to this. This is like high level stuff. So obviously Olivier is a very talented painter, so I want him to push a bit further into his journey. So this is the kind of stuff that you need to start doing. And I know it may seem a bit daunting when you think about this, but it's not really that difficult, and I'm sure you can pull it off, and it's just a little bit of practice, because you obviously have the skill. It's just lacking that extra punch, that extra step. But yeah, apart from that, everything looks pretty nice. The blue armor is very nice. Obviously, you can always say the same things, like edge highlights have to be thinner, more consistent, but I mean, we are not here, not everyone here is a golden demon or heavy metal painter, so those kind of super thin edge highlights can be very, very difficult, even for me. I must admit that I have a lot of trouble to get into the heavy metal level of edge highlights. If I don't take like a week to paint the armor of Space Marine or something like that. And other stuff is things like this, very little details that are just missing, like little chips here, but that's not that big of a deal. And I would probably add these highlights on the red to turn. I think we can make the red pop a bit more. So what I would do is take this very intense red and do a highlight here, soft highlight down here. Let me just with a bigger brush. Just glaze it down towards the bottom here, just like that. And then you can bring this and add a second highlight there, pick these edges, same from the bottom of the fist here, etc. So you can see the thing that really makes that fist stand out a bit more, gives it a bit more of a shiny look. Of course you can go crazy with this, but you don't need to, but you can add reflections around the rivets here and stuff like that. You can add more lines of this. There's someone there. You can take more of that highlight and do something like that. Look at that. I think that looks, now you can see the fist more. It's all about definition of all the details, because otherwise that fist is kind of a bit undefined. It's half of its shape is kind of lost. Adding that reflection on the bottom and those lines brings interest and makes it more interesting. But overall, this is a fantastic mini, and I've loved to see the progress. I think I reviewed other Crimson Fist by Olivier in a previous episode. I think there was a squad and they were fantastic, and this is a very big improvement on them, so I'm really proud of you, and thank you for submission, and I hope that was useful for you. Let's move into the second one. This is Luke, and Luke has painted a massive undead, I think this is the I can't remember the name of the thing now. The black coach, and it's a very lovely color scheme for the black coach, very original. The red ghosts look amazing, and and everything looks pretty good. This will be 100%. I will be super proud of bringing this into the gaming table. This is a stunning piece, and that looks like a very comfy sofa. So let's see how we can improve this. I think you are also in the same position, that you can make that next step, because everything I see here looks very good, but I think you can add in some effects into this, can bring this paint job into the next level. So I think things like, again, I'm going to be repeating myself a little bit here. I'm going to add a little bit of OSL. Let me pick a brush here. So you can bring the OSL from the green glow of this. Let me just bright green here. If you glaze this green over the back here of this guy and over the woody here, I think this is what this mini needs to really stand out more, because it seems like this should be glowing, and it may seem like a very small thing, but again, small details make all the difference. So yeah, I think that helps. You can do it just glazing. This usually this kinds of green glaze very well, so you shouldn't have any issues. Another thing you can do with the ghosties is maybe not bathe everything with red glow, but I liked like in the interaction between the ghost and the scenery, I think it's a good place to add a bit more of, again, OSL. Not on everything else on the red, because this would be quite overwhelming, but you can add a little bit of red where the coach is hitting the scenery, just like this, and some red here, some red there. There is a lot of coach, and this red glow can really make for a very cool look. Also will integrate the coach better onto the base, which I think is a very good idea. Look at that. Very simple thing, but kind of create an atmosphere that is not there now, and I think it can be a great thing to do. Also, where this flames, you can integrate these flames more into the wheels because it kind of feels like they are coming, like the whole coach is transforming from solid to ethereal, and your ethereal is red, so kind of making this transition a bit longer feels appropriate, if you know what I mean, like this. So from solid change to a more of a gradient, I think that is a very nice thing to do. But only in things like here on the wheels, which is clearly changing, and on the scenery where it feels like it should glow. The other things shouldn't, because this is all ghosty things, but you know what I'm trying to say here. There you go. Very simple thing, but I think this OSL over the scenery can really make a big difference. Maybe a bit more subtle in these places and stuff like that. So I know this is a bit of this is difficult. I know this seems challenging, but I think maybe not for this, because it's now finished, and I'm probably touching this will probably be a bit scary. But for the next project, which you can maybe start with something like a chain wraps. Just put him on this kind of rocky base, and try to put that OSL where he is touching this very cool blue stone will be a fantastic way to integrate everything more and make it look more cohesive. But overall, again, I really like this. I've been seeing the progress on this piece on the Discord for a very long time, and I'm really proud of you, and you should also be proud of your work. So thank you, Luke, for this, and we're going to move into the next one. Sorry if I'm being a little bit seem like I'm a little bit hasty, but we have 11 entries today, and I don't want to be here until I have to go to bed. So I will try to be deep with my advice, but also I understand that this takes a very long time. So let's move into the third one, and this is Andrew. And and you has been following my Contrast Plus highlights videos for a while, and is very happy, and is submitting this very cool Shinj marine thingy. And I think this is the new one, which has this very cool demon coming out. And first advice I would give you is taking care of the gaps. Things like, let me just put this. There you go. So, like, well, you can see it here. There you go. We have a very big gap in between his cloak here, and I think if you have glued the cloak afterwards, then it's harder to fix. It still can be done. I remember they relay them hiding gaps using just paint, like several layers of very focused paint. Or you can just use gloss varnish and just put the gloss varnish and then just paint over it, and it should work fine. It should hide this gap. And if you've had this gap previous, you have to use some kind of putty to just hide it. Whatever is green stuff or milliput. I'm usually lately preferring milliput over green stuff for this, but whatever works just fine. And the biggest improvement I want to give you is on the cape here, because you have been I think this either needed a second coat of volupus pink over it, just to make it like darker pink, or maybe brighter highlights, because this highlight color is not it kind of is darker than the highlight naturally made by the contrast. So my advice would be to just do another layer of volupus pink. So let me just see if I can make this happen. Just to darken it down a little bit more, this pinkish color. Just grab something like this, should be fine. Sometimes I'm usually volupus pink does need 2 coats for me to get a solid, nice looking pink. That's a bit of an issue with volupus pink, but if you do another layer and look something like that, then you can take this kind of color and do your highlights afterwards. I would suggest you start practicing glazing for those kind of highlights, because especially for these cloaks, you can go the heavy metal way and do like sharp edges, or you can start glazing this pinkish color and try to be a bit more volumetric about where you place your highlights, something like this, and this, and like this, and like this. Something like that. I think that is the main thing, and that is my main take on what you should do to improve your painting in general. Let's try to don't be afraid of doing a second layer on this pinkish if you see that it's not consistent or it's not the color that you wanted, and then try to work on glazes, because you kind of have edge highlighting pretty well, and this is very cool, by the way, this space effect. And yeah, I think that would be my advice here. Maybe here, if this wants to be fire, I think you need to work on the opposite direction, which is very hard to do with contrast paints. That's why I haven't done fire with contrast paints yet. It's because it doesn't really work. But you can make it better if you take something like pure white and just put it into the recesses. Let me just make it smaller. you need to put the white into the lowest parts of the fire. Something like that. But fire with contrast paints works. I might do a video on it. It's not easy, just because contrast paints goes darker into the recesses, and for fire to look like fire, you kind of want the opposite. You want the darker to be on the top parts of the fire, and I lost my where I was, and the lighter to be in the recesses. Let me see if I can fix this fire a little bit more. So we put some white in there. We're going to take the yellow and just put it on the top parts. Darren Lavin had a very good video on painting fire. Darren's official channel is gone, but if you look for Darren Lavin on YouTube, I'm sure you will be able to find something that looks like his channel. There you go. So you put the white onto the recesses, then you can take this red, just look for a red, just look for pure red, and just or an orange or something like that, and you can put this on the top part here, something like this, something like that. It's not perfect, but you get what I try to say. And if you want this to be some kind of magic, then it looks good. But if you want it fire, you have to do it, flip it. So yeah, my main advice, because everything seems clean, application looks good, highlights in general look good. It's just this cape that is standing out as something you need to work on. So something like this should be better. So another coat of volupus pink, and then some glazing highlights if you feel brave, and if you don't, just do what you were doing, those edge highlights with that kind of fleshy color. It should look good. Let me see if I have to mute my phone. Wait a second, please. Technical problems. There you go. That shouldn't bother us anymore. So thank you, Andrew, for your submission. I think it was your first, and if that's the case, just let me know if you like it on the Patreon server, the Patreon Discord server. So let's move into Rag. Rag has a very particular mini. It is a very elaborate conversion using, I don't know what the pieces come from. This is for his Blood Bowl Undead team, and the whole of the armor is sculpted on. Same is part of the stitching is also sculpted, and there's a lot of repositioning and filling gaps and that sort of stuff done with a mix of milliput and green stuff, and I think it looks lovely. I think it looks pretty nice. The flesh tones, I think they are spot on. I really like the blue glow, which is again what we're talking about in the first installment. You have a dark ring between the glowing bit, which is the eye, and the glow. That makes the glow look stronger. There you go. It really looks like it's glowing pretty strongly. It's a very nice effect. The chipping on the armor looks fantastic. The only thing I will probably add is I probably think you don't want to go too hard on the highlights on the red, but I think like it needs more. I will probably move into the desaturated oranges myself. I don't really like using white or things like that, but let me see if I can find a desaturated orange, something on this ballpark. Let me see. Make this a bit bigger. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like this needs a bit more highlights. I need a bit lighter tone here. Something like this. I will probably emphasize this a bit more. Maybe you don't like this. This is completely my my thing. I will probably add some chipping as well, but I need to use a smaller brush for this. Sorry. Photoshop and I have a very love-hate relationship, because this looks like it should be beaten up to death, and it looks very not broken, and I think it should look a lot more weathering. To make it a bit bigger so I work faster. There you go. Yeah, much better now. So I will try and just add a lot more chips and scratches and things into the armor, basically. And then you can take this dark color, or even this one, something like this. Yeah, this is all about the same hues. There you go. And you can put some chips into the bigger chunks here, maybe where you feel like this would rub more, stuff like this. Something like that. That is what I would probably go for, is highlight, use whatever highlight color you want. If you want to go with the pink route, you can, but I will just add a bit more weathering to the armor, because the rest feels pretty good. Looks suitably dead and very interesting hues. I think he mentioned this was done with oils and then finished with some acrylics, and I think it looks amazing. I think you can add these chippings with the acrylics after all the oil blending. Fantastic work. Anyway, I have very little things to say about this, apart from I would like the armor to be a bit more weathered. Yeah, very nice work. You can probably exaggerate the different hues, so I really like how this leg is, how this knee is done, and I think you can probably work on adding this hues, something like this. You can probably work on adding this hues onto more. So these purples, very interesting purpley pinks. Probably add more of those into the stitches and onto the surrounding areas. Stuff like here, something like the knuckles, for example. Or just even the whole end of the fingers. Something like this. I really kind of like this, because this is really beautiful on the knee there, and I think more tonal variation will always be nice. Something like that. And then adding this brighter pinks. There you go. I think we have it. Let's make it smaller. Make this more opaque, and we can add some highlights. Something like that on the stitches and stuff like that. You know what to do. Something on that vein. Pushing more color into the skin, which is already lovely, and I will just take what you did on the knee and just put it into knuckles, into all the stitches, into elbows, you know, all that stuff. But the rest of it looks fantastic. I really like it. Very nice job. And add more weathering to the armor. I think it feels like it needs more weathering in general. I really like what GW is doing now with the Space Marines. You can see all these little chips on the edges, these little scratches. Also on the Tau, they are going harder on that weathering. I think it looks fantastic. Let's see. Yeah, things seems like the mic is working fine as well. It's just sometimes this thing just don't work. Let's move into the next one. Thank you, Rack, for your submission. And let's move into Andy. And Andy is submitting a very nice looking, this is Infinity, I think, mini that he said. And there's a lot of things I like about this. I think the OSL here is just perfect. I wouldn't touch it. That is a very nice looking glow. I think it sells very well. The armor, I think, needs a bit more highlighting. So it's a bit, it's hard for me to see where all the shapes are and how all the shapes are. I think you took something like this color for your highlights, and I think it needs more edge highlighting. Maybe you don't like edge highlighting, but I think this kind of armor really needs it. Let me move it here. Make this color a bit lighter. Okay, let me see if I can show what I mean. If you very carefully paint the edges here, you can make this armor look way more defined. And make it stand a lot more. This is so time consuming, I know it. So if you don't want to do it, I can understand it, but I feel like this needs the edge highlights. Look at that. So you can see the difference between this and this. This feels like blurry, and this suddenly you can see all the lovely shapes and all the lovely details. And you can even go higher than this. You can take an almost pure white pink and just add some touches here and there to the corners and stuff like that. I think that is a big improvement on, especially on the readability, because it kind of felt hard to read, really. Another thing you can do is take this red here, and this is super glowy, so it looks like it's glowing a lot, and sadly, it's not reflecting on the rest of the armor, and it should. You should have some red glow coming from the weapon here. There you go. Also on the face here, you can add a bit of OSL. Like that. And then you can take this orange and just add a bit more of that. Just like that. I think those two things, adding more edge highlights into the armor and trying to build an OSL, because this is obviously glowing and it's very well done, and the only thing detracting from that glow is it isn't on anywhere else. So yeah. But apart from that, this is a very lovely paint job, and you did an amazing job on the weapon. So keep on going and keep on building onto this lovely work and trying to elevate everything a bit more. I know sometimes this seems a bit unfair because it's very easy to do on a computer screen and it's very hard to do on the mini, but I think you can do it and it will be worth it. So thank you, Andy, for your submission. I really hope you liked it, and we're moving to the next one, and this one is Tim. And Tim has been improving a lot lately. And this is for a public voting painting competition, and he wants some advice. And my advice would be, Well, this looks amazing. I really like the idea of the broken tarmac, or the broken concrete base. The only issue with that is that it should be 3D. So I know you can't go now and sculpt it, but you should be able to sculpt the earth cracking. So for the next one, just take some green stuff or some milliput and just you lay it flat, and then you try to add the change of levels of the tarmac of the concrete cracking. But apart from that, it's a very well done effect. So yeah, I'm going to touch on that. Things I think look good. The black under armor looks fantastic. The red, on the most part, looks really good. These goldy things just don't sell as gold for the same reason as we talked in the first video. So this kind of being a little NMM focused, this, which I'm okay with that. You can take this, you can even move it into the oranges a bit more, something like this. There you go. Let's put this a bit bigger, a bit smaller, and let's see if we can fix this. Oops, sorry about that. You see, you have your highlights here and here, but there is no secondary reflection, and it should be. So you should add a second highlight. Oh, sorry about that. My bad. There you go. This has 2 layers, and I was painting on the underside here. So let me just show it to you. Just pick up the bottom side here of these barrels with something like this, for example, and just that. Look at a massive change from this to this, with just one color placed in the right position. Makes for a massive difference. Same thing can be done on this view, because you have done with the gold, and that's like the reflection in that position. You need to pick up the secondaries there, something like that, and this changes everything basically. Makes from kind of what's that to, oh yeah, that looks pretty nice. And same thing can be done on the sphere here. You should be adding that highlight there. You can bring it even a bit more, just to, because it's so big. Look at that. Look at how much of a difference that makes. It's super simple. I think you can do that, and making it a bit more orange will make it look like it's reflecting the armor around it, which is a good idea, because I think that will sell very well. And same here. I'm going to take that same orange. Something like scrap brown will be beautiful for this. A bigger brush for this area. There you go. There you go. You can see the difference it makes on the gold, and suddenly the gold doesn't look bad. It just looks as it always should have. The next thing I have is the black here on the symbol. Doesn't look, it's just missing something. I think it's missing the same. I will take some of this, probably some of this red here. Can you, let's see if this works well or it doesn't. Let me make this smaller. Kind of feels like it needs an edge highlight on this red on this edge. And I will probably darken down this area here. Yeah, much better with that area darkened down. It was too bright on the lower side, something like this. and we add this nice bright red on here, and boom, there you go. Very nice. And if we do this, we also have to do the same here. We cannot have this symbol looking like this, doesn't look nice. So I'm going to darken the bottom side here, and I'm going to take the same reds and just pick up this edge here like this. And look at that, how much this just looks much better. Look, from this into this, very big change. It's all about understanding where light should go. Also, you're not going to change this now, but for the next time, you did a very beautiful gradient from red to black to the red, and then you went very bright for the edge highlights. The edge highlight should be a multi-step process. So you need to. I will probably take this red here, the brightest red that you used, and use this to make the first edge highlight on the darker parts. And then you take the orange, this bright orange, and you make a thinner edge highlight. So you have a bit of this red in between both highlights. That is how it should work. Now it looks a bit stark in some places, like for example here, where it meets the this is only needed where it meets the darker red. So I will probably the darker hues. So I will probably just take the brighter red on the gradient, use this for edge highlighting everything, and then you take the brighter orange and you do a small edge highlight on darker parts, and the same edge highlight that you did here on the brighter parts. And you also forgot to edge highlight this, which you should. I will probably just take this orange. Let's just do it as I was telling you to do. So you take this red, you make a highlight on the darker parts like this, and then you take the orange, or a mix of the orange and the red, and you do a smaller highlight here, and you should pick up this edge and this edge here. There you go, things like that, and makes a big difference. As you can see, there's a lot going on. I really like the header balloon change. I like the white, I like the blues. For example, things that you can do with the blues is if this is supposedly glowing, let's just pick something, something like this. You should be able to tell that this is glowing. Let me just make a bigger brush. So painting the blue around these lights, just on the edges of these lights, and you can even pick the inner edge of this array sensor or whatever it is, and maybe a little bit of blue here and here. Less blue the more farther away you are. I think it also adds that extra element, because again there is a very striking elements here, and there are other elements that are just not there yet. Same here, just add this blue onto the edges of the lights, and you can even add a bit of the blue here, and on the inside edge of the helmet there, just like that. There you go. You see, makes them read as lights, and it changes dramatically your mini. But again, you did a fantastic job here, Tim. This is there's so much blending going on here. It's just crazy. So congratulations on your paint job. I really wish you the best on that voting, on that public voting painting competition. Give us the link so we can vote for you on the Patreon feed. And yeah, thank you very much for your submission. Your progress has been like mind-blowing. So thank you very much, Tim. It's very inspiring seeing your work going better and better with each month. So thank you very much. Let's move into the next one. This is Ben. And Ben has a very old, dusty, quite appropriate for Death God. I think this is Typhus, this little dude here. And he wants to improve on it. He wants to go back. So my first advice would be to dust it very well. If the dust doesn't come off, and you can just give it a very light scrub with, you can take an old paintbrush and some water and just remove every single bit of dust, because if you don't remove all these dust from it, it's not going to work. And I will probably concentrate on trying to make the glow on the lava better. So you can probably take pure, what I would do is take pure white, and I will just paint pure white there, and then we will work on that. So you take pure white. There you go. Let me just grab my pen. And you paint this pure white into the bigger cracks. Like this. And then you take some fluorescent paints. I don't have fluorescent paints on Photoshop, but you will get the idea. Some fluorescent yellows and some fluorescent orange and magenta and stuff like that. And you have to glaze this over here, starting with the yellow, and then you take some fluorescent orange. Again, I can't have fluorescent orange on the computer, because it doesn't understand that kind of stuff. But you need to glaze this on some areas as well, reducing the glow. It is something that is very hard to do on this kind of mini, on this with a computer. And you have to put that orange also on the rocks around all the cracks, like that. So that increases the glow a lot more. And also just take the same fluorescent paints and glaze them towards the edges, and things like underside of the chains, on the side of the trinkets, on the downward facing parts of the armor, stuff like that. So things like here, something like that. That will be, I think, the best improvement you can do is first of all dust it, then work on making the lava looking glowier, and then you can add more stuff onto it. Things like more highlights on the, or more shading on the helmet to make it look, well, for example, just keep on building that OSL, but around his eyes, for example. If you're doing this, why not? Take this yellow and make it brighter. Something like ice yellow, or something like dawn yellow. There you go. Something like that. I think that will be my best advice, but this really needs a good dusting. It's very hard to see anything apart from that, but I think you were going for kind of like inner glow kind of thing here. So for the inner glow, you want to do the same as you did for the lava, if that's what you want. It just you need to put the white inside of the parts. This is small enough. Yeah, this is small enough. You need to put the white into the cracks. If GW is kind enough to sell me an avatar of Cain, which they haven't done yet, I will show you how to do this, like with the fluorescent paints and everything. So stay tuned for that, and just fingers crossed that they care to send me something, which I highly doubt it, by the way. Let's move this, pick a very bright yellow. There you go. Make this bigger, make the opacity smaller, and see if we can. So once you have the white in the cracks, you glaze it with the fluorescent paint from yellow to orange, and you kind of create this inner glow effect, which is super cool. There you go. You can see the difference if that's what you were going for, from this into this. Looks more glowy. But yeah, I would like to see this getting dusted and cleaned, and working on the, I think you should work on the OSL effect, because and just add a bit more highlights into the parts that look flatter, like this brownish oxide parts and stuff like that. But again, really looking forward to that. If you end up retouching this and working on this, send me a message through the Discord. I will love to see it, Ben. So let's move into Chelsea, and Chelsea has made not a speed paint job. He's painted this angry looking priest, and I think he looks pretty good. Things that can be improved are, well, she says that he's having troubles with the faces, and yeah, faces can be challenging. This one doesn't look bad at all, actually. I think it looks pretty nice. I think it just needs a bit more highlights. Let me see if we can see if more highlights fix this. Small brush, and we will touch on the NMM in the next minutes as well. This is a very weird face, by the way, so it doesn't have a lot of space. I think if you push the highlights a lot into the cheeks, you can make it look better, but this is a very weird face. There you go. A bit less there, a bit less there, and then you need to go back with pinks. There you go. And make it super thin, and you can add those pinks into cheeks, the nose, the lip, stuff like that. Will make it look better, but it's a very weird face to paint, so I think we should concentrate on the NMM, and these skulls are a very good representation of what you are not doing as you should. So let's just grab this brown and just paint them over and see if we can make something better with the colors that you have on the mini. Let's just paint over all the skulls and bring them back dark. So what you want to do is take something like this orangey brown that you have here. I don't know which colors you used, but you want to place your highlights on these little skulls. I like to make them like this. So you pick a side and you highlight that side. Oh, damn! Hate my keyboard. You pick something like this. Yeah, something like this. Something better. It's very hard to work. There you go. And you bring this highlight a lot, and then you have to pick things like this. These skulls are very hard to do. Put it here, there, and there, something like that. This is not perfect, but it's better than what it was. So yeah, something like that. You want to concentrate a bright highlight on one side and just do some like secondary reflections on the other. Otherwise, this is very difficult to paint. Another thing here is you kind of not sure what you wanted to paint, to put your shadows and your highlights here. So what I would do, when there is like a hard edge, is you need to make sure one side of the edge is very dark, like this. and the other side should have maximum highlight. So just like this, like this. Then you have to put this and then going back into the darker browns for this side here. This is more or less what you want. I know this is a bit messy, but you get the idea. So this looks weird. This starts to look a bit more metallic. And then you add your highlights on this side. Like on this part of the helmet here. You pick these edges, you pick the sides, and you have to think on the highlights on that kind of level. Let's put it in the center so people can see it well. And picking up the edges. So here, 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 and just bringing the highlight onto this side. Always picking this too. There you go. It's starting to look good now. So it's not a matter of blending. It's just a matter of where do I put my highlights. So you can see this starts to look a bit metallic, and it's just moving around what you did. So from here to here, it's all about light placement, not about like super exquisite blends. You don't need that. Let's see if I can make this. There you go. Need to add a bit more of this onto this side. There you go. A bit more of this highlight onto this edge. There you go. This now looks proper, or starts to look as I wanted. And you add a bit more of those secondary reflections. You can add those spots of light that I show you how to do in the tutorial on the darker bits, and suddenly this turns from not sure to yeah, that looks like it's shining. Look at that. You look at from miniature distance, this suddenly starts to look like it should. So it's all about placement. It's not about blending. See the difference? You can be rough and still looking good if you know where to put the shadows and the highlights. As for the this piece here on his chest is very difficult to do, but you kind of have to think about it as a cylinder. So what I would do is add a highlight in this plane here. So I will add my highlight here like this. Just a secondary reflection there. There you go. I will take this darker color and make it darker towards the bottom part, like here. And then you go back to your secondary reflection colors and just add this kind of edge highlights. Just pick the highlight color. There you go. Onto the darker bits. Like this, like this, like this. You see, it really makes a big difference. There you go. So it's all about, as I said, it's all about light and dark placement. But you did a very good job. The rest looks very, very nice. The back looks better than the front because you have more of this going on. So you can save this as your reference and try to repaint the helmet if you want, and if you don't, just take an X Mini, which is always what I recommend, is take the X Mini and apply this onto the next one. But you should practice more of the NMM. It's going to help you a lot understanding how light works. Good job on the mini there, Chelsea, and I hope that was useful for you. Let's move into Chris. Christopher has a very nice looking stormcast, and you see the fire goes from light on the darker bits on the inner parts and going darker as it goes, and it looks very nice. The only thing that is missing is the OSL, because fire should be putting up some glow, and if it doesn't, it just doesn't look like fire. And it doesn't have to be massive. Let's make this a bit bigger. Just adding a tiny bit of this orange onto this part, just a very tiny bit. It should be soft on the clothes and leather rebits, and you can always increase it in some areas where it's obviously closer to the hand. This kind of starts selling up the fire effect. And here on the metallic bits, it should be very small and very bright. I think we should go. Oh crap! Hates when it does that. Something like this, and you can add a little tiny bit of this into this bit. You know, something like this. This just alone, just some glazing on some oranges on the glove and on the surrounding areas, makes for a big difference. Same goes for the eyes. This is very difficult. I know you're going to be pissed at me for saying this, but okay. Just see if I can add the glow there. Yeah, there you go. And then you take pure white. It's just something like a teal, a light teal. You can just take white afterwards and just paint the inner parts of the eye. There you go. Let's make this a bit more opaque. Something like this. And again, all of this builds into the atmosphere, because the paint job is nice, it's good, and those small changes change it from okay to, oh, that's really fucking good. And we can do the same on the screen. So you can probably take this piece as a practice for OSL effects, because I think it's a very good subject. You already have all the colors here of different glowy things. So I think we can improve a lot here if you just glaze this green around these areas, something like this, something like that. You have three sources of different colors. You have the fire on the hand, the eyes, and the green vial. I think it will all help you out quite a lot. Another thing that I like to do to make things look better, that is simple, is just adding some weathering into the leather, like this. So you have all your leather, and you take your first highlight color on the leather, and you just do. Oh, this is not cover enough. Let me do this. and just start something. This will be something like goth or brown, something like that, or whatever color you use to highlight the leather. And just add these scratches, especially toward the edges. These don't need to be blended at all. This works very nice. Just making small lines. And you take your main highlight color and you just add some dots on the surface. There you go. Very simple thing again, and a very big difference, at least if you ask me. And if you ask me, I also think your white cloth needs more highlights, by the way. So let's improve on that too. I'm not going to ask you to do like super defined, but just picking up this ridge here and this edge. And then you can just move into an almost pure white, something like ivory will work very fine for this, and just do your highlight here and here and here, like this. And I think like this you should be good to go. So I hope you are brave enough to try this. I think you should. This kind of stuff is what pushes you into the right direction with your painting, trying stuff like this. It did for me when I tried NMN, and it made me a much better painter just by trying to be a better painter. So thank you, Christopher, for your submission. I hope that was useful. Very lovely stormcast, and we move into the next one. This is Carlos, and it's always a pleasure for me to see another Carlos submission, because Carlos has been, I think he was here on the first Royal Retinue review with a Tau Crisis suit. I don't have the photos, I because if I keep everything, it's just going to be a massive folder. So but the difference is absolutely amazing. I think it's been a year or so since the first Royal Retinue review, and his improvements have been absolutely amazing. This is done acrylics with an oil wash. I think this is streaking grime, something like that, with a very good looking stormcast here. And oil washing can be a fantastic way to add a bit more of personality, of grime, and of realism into your Space Marines. And he has been working a lot on his edge highlights. You see, we can see some very thin edge highlights, but I think you are still a bit timid with them. You can go a lot more. You can add, I'm not going to ask you to add them onto the lower facing edges, but I think Power Armor does need a bit of edge highlights on the upper facing edges, and a bit more than what you've done here. I know how much you love to do edge highlights. And you can move into this super bright green and just do some more like that. Again, just on the upper surfaces, but on the upper facing edges. But the thing is, you have edges where you have done this and edges where you haven't, and they should, if they are facing the same direction, they all should have the same level of highlight. You cannot do this edge and not do this upper edge or this edge or this edge. So you have to be consistent. So same here, here, a little bit here, a little bit there, and those edges there, just like that. You can skip the downward facing edges if you don't want to go full heavy metal, but you should, if you're starting doing this on the upper facing edges, you should do it on all upper facing edges. But your brush control is improving, so I'm really proud of you. For example, here you can clearly make two different edge highlights on this edge. Same here, you did two different edge highlights on the trim of the edge of the knee bit here. So that's pretty nice, but don't forget that you have to do them all. If you start, you have to do them all. You can try to do some softer highlights here. You can do the Richard Gray style of just dotting and adding texture, and that creates that highlight there very nicely. Just like that, for example, that would be nice. Same here, if it's like this side of the head needs a bit more of a highlight there. And same goes for the backpack, which you haven't even bothered. I know this is not fun, but this is what you need. You need to practice this. Just because I know you hate it, that's pretty good reason to just practice it more. There you go. That makes all the difference there. All the difference. And one thing you can try, if you go in this green darky route, is just add some pigments. Something like Vallejo has the dark slate gray, which is something like this. Let me make this super soft and bigger and a little bit less opaque, and you can add this into the feet and into the vase. And this, adding this gray, like mudding the feet with this pigment and adding it into the base and into everything, will make this marine look more integrated with the base. I think this is important for this kind of very grim dark kind of thing. It kind of has to be integrated into the environment. But apart from that, I'm very proud of you. Your improvements have been, again, super inspiring, and yeah, I think you should do what you're doing. Just don't be lazy and do it more. So thank you guys for your submission. It's always a real pleasure. Let's move into the last one. This is Shekon, and I think that's how you pronounce that name. If it isn't, I'm sorry. And he went for a cell shading effect. And that's very, I don't know how to do this. So take what I'm going to say with a grain of salt. I have no idea what I'm saying here. I'm not the person for this. And he says if there is any tips for doing all those thin black lines apart from using a thin black pen, and it isn't. You just have to learn how to do it with brush control, which is not easy. And what I've seen other people that do this kind of shell shading is using these black lines, not just on the shadows, but also on the highlights, on the edges, to define stuff. So for example, if you paint this line here, something like this, I've seen that done. I'm not sure if it's what you're looking. Whoa, what do I have on my? Yeah, that's way too big. Okay. So stuff like this. So these black lines done onto the edges of the parts. Something like this. Which I'm not sure if this is what you're looking for, but I think it looks good. Again, not an expert on this, but and this can be done with a very nice sharp pen. Something like this. And if you're doing, I will suggest you leave the edge apart. So like put it onto one side of the edge, something like this, and you can add some texture. Let's see if we can make this here on top, and we can add some here on the bottom. We can add some lines and some texture, like a comic style shading, something like this. Again, some lines here onto the raised folds. Can work something like this. I'm not sure. Sorry, I'm as lost as you are here. I have no idea what I'm doing. But I've seen this. I remember. Who was it? Was it Angel Giraldo that made a video about this using Dragon Ball Mini? And I know Marco Frisoni has will make a video about this, so I will direct you into their videos better than listening to the crap I'm saying here. Yeah, let me just, I don't know. I'm so lost here, but I think this looks good. I think. And of course, when you do this cell shading thing, you have to do black lines around all the details as well. But I don't know which are the rules of the black lines going into the shadows or into the highlights. I have no ideas. Maybe if we can do these lines here in black. It kind of looks like that. And yeah, there are no, yeah, that looking at it from a bit from afar, that's starting to look, they're starting to look proper. So I think the idea is that it's just adding, so you have to look more into comic painting than into miniature painting. So go and grab some images of comics and whatever that have done this kind of style. Also Gundam painters do this a lot, so look at what they are doing and try to bring it here. And as for doing thin black lines, if you're not good with the brush, my recommendation is just to grab a pen and do it with a very thin pen. It would be just much easier. But yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't help you more with this kind of style. I have no idea about this. Sorry. I'm really, really sorry about that. Can this work if we do a line here? I don't know. I'm awful at drawing. That's why I never attempted this cell shading thing, because I'm just not good at this kind of thing. But it kind of looks all right, doesn't it? Kind of looks all right. There you go. Yeah, I'm kind of liking this. So yeah, don't be afraid of doing these black lines also on the highlights and stuff like that. Just think what you would do if you were trying to paint this as a comic. Basically, that's basically the whole idea. I'm sure there are rules, but I don't know them, so sorry I couldn't help you more there. But it's a very nice, very grimy looking warband, so I think you should be proud of very nice conversions as well. Very nicely done, Shekon there. And that was the last one. So let me have a look onto the chat. Oh, 43 people watching this. Amazing. This must be a record for the Royal Retinue review. See if I have any questions. So you have a question, post it in the chat now. This is the time to do it. Oh, Olivier has seen just the very end of his review. Black coach, people say, I can't see what you write, but I got there in the end. Yeah, him saying about the Crimson Face, that the shadow comes from the setup of the picture, could be very well, but anyway. Yeah, and very nice advices here. Let's see if you have any questions for the end. You were rough with me today, Juan. No, I wasn't. I see your potential, Chelsea, and I want. I know you can push through this rough stage, and I'm sure you can do it. One quick question for making the OSL. Would glaze the glow on? Yes, you should glaze the glow on. And just taking something like fluorescent paints will work, or mixing fluorescent paints into your oranges and your reds. Let me grab some fluorescent paints here. So something like having these two fluor paints, this is fluor orange and fluor yellow from Vallejo, and mixing this into your oranges and just thinning them and doing glazes will help you get there. Yeah. Same for the blues. I hate the blue fluor. What I like to do for the blues is using teals, something like Baharov blue, Tempergal blue, Sotek green, that kind of stuff. It works very well for the glow, for the blue glow. And how you make that animal crown look so good, it's just magic. It's a very good custom prop, by the way. This is high quality one. It's made out of metal and everything. It looks very nice. And you said we will hear you say they love the blue skin. Blue can be a nice color, but you have to put some interest into it. Otherwise, it's so boring. Oh, we have War Mike here. I'm guessing that's how you pronounce that nickname. And he says in Spanish that he is starting to paint his Iron Warriors using my video, and it's going amazingly. So I'm really happy that you found it useful, and very thank you for watching what I do. I really appreciate it. And Chris is going to try the OSL. Give me if you want to wait until I paint the avatar, which I'm going to do it anyway, but I just hope the GW sends me one. But guessing that I haven't one yet and it's about to be released, I doubt that's going to be the case. But I'm going to get my hands into one and I'm going to show you that. So if you want to wait, I will understand that. But yeah, just glazing. You know what you can watch, Chris? Go and watch some of Sorastro's videos. He has a lot of OSL in his videos, and he uses the fluo paints. Let me just see if I can grab you one here that I think will be good. Sorastro, there you go. Painting channel. Let me have these videos so we can see something that has that especially the fire one. I remember a fire creature kind of thing with a fire sword. Let me see. I love if you aren't subscribed to Sorastro, you should. All his guys are very nice. Oh, yeah, maybe can't see it now. I will find it. He has so many videos. It's a bit ridiculous at this point. Oh yeah, this is this. I knew it's one. It was somewhere. Okay, so yeah, go and check this video and you will see anything that you need there. Ashikan is saying, I will probably grab a marine for the black line highlights. A test model will probably look great for edge highlights. Yeah, and again, I'm going to find you those videos that I was talking about. Ah, there you go. This is one of them. So this is cell shading for, there you go. And this should, and I will think I will find the Marco one. Let's hope Marco's here. There you go. Yeah, this is Marco. Just for reference, there we go. So go watch those two videos, the second link and the third link, and I think that's what you're looking for. And Marco especially is going to give you the best tips because he's just much better painter than I am. And if we don't have any more questions in the chat, I think I will go and have a rest. Thank you very much for all that's been here. Oops, the links took me away from the stream. Yeah, you should middle click those links. I think middle clicking, yeah, middle clicking should work. But yeah, go and watch those videos. Chris should watch the first one, which is the OSL for the fire from Swarastra, and Swarastra has tons of videos about doing it. But doing this with greens also will get you onto the green, and for the blues will get you into the blues. Yeah, cool. Didn't know you could do that. Yeah, you didn't know what about the middle clicking? Yeah, that's I mean, like, yeah. But if it was about the OSL, I'm sure that you did. But anyway, thank you all for being here. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next month. Remember, if you want your minis reviewed by me, you have to join my Patreon or become a channel member on the tier of Minatoms or above, and you can join for the next month. And again, if you don't want to give me any money, which I totally understand, go and join the PMP Facebook group, and there you will have your minis reviewed for free once a month by a team of experts. So thank you all very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one, guys. Bye.